Now I turn to Professor Ilana Silber, one of his students, and she also wrote her doctoral degree under him. She is a professor of Emerita of Sociology at Bar-Ilan University. Professor Silber specializes in sociological theory, the sociology of gift processes, charity, and elite philanthropy, and published widely in this area. She is a faculty fellow at the Yale Center for Cultural Sociology and an elected member of Academia Europea. She will speak about the multiple voices of Eisenstadt. Please.
Thank you, Sami. I must say that we have some convergences, mainly that I studied psychology and sociology, and I decided that psychology about mice, I mean, it was exactly the same experience, and I decided that sociology was much more important, and so on and so forth, and a few others. It's very moving to be here because we are the Israel Academy of Sciences, and of course Eisenstadt was, you know, and of course Eisenstadt is a presence here. I mean, I can still imagine him climbing the stairs here, also at the Van Leer Institute, and it's very moving to, it was a Pkishat Marzor we had with a few of his ex-students, who are still students in some ways. So it's really moving to see many faces that I had not seen for quite a while, and to hear so much about Eisenstadt and how much he shaped the career of so many people in so many directions. Now, much of what I will say at the beginning of my lecture is exactly what you said now. So you will have to, I don't know why. Is it possible to make it louder? Do you know how to make it louder? Okay. I have to bring the microphone closer to me. What I was saying is that much of what I will say in my first paragraph repeat things that Sami said, that many people said here, but I will say it with my own voice, indeed. And I must say also that since I decided very quickly on the title of my paper, I changed it a little bit. It is about the multiple voices of Eisenstadt, but also summaries of silence, okay? So it will make it a bit different. Eisenstadt dealt with many multiple topics over a long and prodigiously productive career. He also, no doubt, underwent significant shifts of conception in the process, such as, of his own account, the early break with Pearsonian functionalism, and later move from the comparative study of institutions to the study of civilizations. By and large, however, he kept honing his very own personal style of interpretation and set of preferences, giving priority to macro-sociological, comparative, historical, and civilizational analysis. He also kept cultivating a multidimensional perspective, placing particular emphasis on the influence of cultural and symbolic orientations, at the same time as it was attentive to social structural factors such as political systems, elites, and institutions. And last but not least, it is also a perspective that rejected all forms of determinism and was keen to trace the transformative role played by human creativity in patterns of continuity and change. All of which was served, as we heard, by an enormous scope and pace of reading, willingness to engage with and bridge between different schools of thought, making for what was a rather intimidating, ever-expanding research program with combined empirical and theoretical aspirations, I mean. Reflecting on what I just said, I cannot but ask myself, as many did already here, how could one scholar manage to do so much? His accomplishments are undoubtedly formidable and obviously an act hard to follow. And it is no wonder that he is often primarily associated with only parts of his body of work, particularly just his exploration of multiple modernities, a phrase that has captured attention, at the risk of overshadowing his comparative civilizational analysis and his more purely theoretical contributions. Fortunately, Eisenstadt was not alone in his ambitious pursuits. Tonight, we shall have the privilege to hear Björn Wittrock, one of a select group of eminent scholars and collaborators with similar priorities and remarkable abilities, each in his own way, contributing to deepen the dialogue between civilizational analysis, world history, as well as cultural theory and global studies. As wide-ranging as Eisenstadt was in his scholarly pursuits, it is also interesting to consider the topics he did not explore, perhaps simply did not have the time and opportunity to delve into. One major example emerges from a quick comparison with Max Weber. While Eisenstadt is often acknowledged, and for very good reasons, as a major representative and heir of Max Weber, for some even the foremost Weberian sociologist of our times, it is striking that in contrast with Weber precisely, he was much more interested in the part played by ideological and cultural orientations in macro-political rather than economic processes and transformations. In fact, he scarcely addressed the economy in general or specific economic regimes in particular, such as modern capitalism or its contemporary financial and neoliberal iterations. We can only start imagining, fantasizing even, what he would have done of such crucial and pressing topics, especially given their burning relevance in today's world. Briefly here, I wish to start imagining the implications of Eisenstadt's approach for another topic which he did not engage with as such, nor did Weber for that matter, the study of gift-giving, gift processes, and relations. This is a field that has very much expanded in recent decades, even as it remains marked by the enduring influence of and debates around Marcel Maus's seminal 1925 essay on the gift. The reason I select this field for attention is not only because of my own long-standing involvement in it, but also because it has evolved in ways that suggest interesting intersections with some of Eisenstadt's central concerns. Mauss himself, I dare speculate, would not have opposed exploring intersections with Eisenstadt's oeuvre, since we know he had a deep interest in comparative research and even co-authored an earlier short text with Durkheim on the notion of civilization, a text which he later even elaborated upon on his own and has become by now widely referenced in the field of civilizational analysis. Moreover, Mauss explicitly framed his essay on the gift as a comparative project from the outset, and even one of rather ambitious proportions, starting with an extensive scanning of gift processes across various primitive or archaic societies, Melanesia, Polynesia, Alaska, and British Columbia, followed by an account of the gift in the legal systems of ancient civilizations, Roman, Hindu, Germanic, Celtic, and Chinese, and concluding with reflections on the gift in modern context. To recall, however, Mauss mainly meant to highlight the gift as a foundational, generic phenomenon, displaying basic continuity and an essentially similar nature across historical periods and cultures. Yet even if it gave priority to the search for similarities rather than differences and discontinuities, it cannot be overlooked that his essay actually launched the comparative historical sociology of the gift as a distinct field of inquiry. Coming back to Eisenstadt in that regard, the closest he came to address the topic of gift relations, if I recall correctly, is in writings co-authored with Louis Roniger, here present, who is with us today, where they explored patterns of exchange in the context of relations of clientelism and patronage, but with only fleeting reference to Mos. Simplifying a bit, gifts rather remain subsumed in these writings under the idea of generalized exchange, which is credited there with the significant merit of pointing beyond simple, limited patterns of exchange and carrying macro-sociological implications rather than merely micro-interactive and situational ones. Marked by the influence of various authors, such as Claude Lévi-Strauss, Talcott Parsons, and James Coleman, this is an argument to which Eisenstadt attaches some theoretical importance, as evidenced in the fact that he revisited it in the introduction to a collection of his more purely theoretical articles in 1995 called Power, Trust, Meaning, Essays in Sociological Theory and Analysis. What Eisenstadt was particularly interested in, indeed, is how such modes of exchange shape patterns of trust in the public sphere, a topic central to his macro-sociology at large and comparative political sociology in particular. In that respect, Eisenstadt took care to distinguish between gifts, which he viewed as one specific form of institutionalization of generalized exchange, and more strictly utilitarian or commercial forms of exchange. Crucial to that distinction, moreover, is his understanding of gifts as pointing to a dimension of unconditionalities, a concept he also connected to Durkheim's famed notion of the pre-contractual elements of social life. While he did not elaborate extensively on these ideas, they underscore his central enduring interest in the non- and even anti-utilitarian dimensions of social life and their capacity to transcend practical and utilitarian orientations or interests, and to do so, importantly, at the same time as it can also deeply intertwine with such, more, or as Eisenstadt also often phrased it, merely pragmatic and utilitarian considerations. Significantly here, these ideas closely converge with Mos's understanding of the gift as a highly complex, distinctive mode of action, combining seemingly contradictory dimensions, freedom and obligation, interest and disinterest, and blurring the distinction between persons and objects in chains of gift exchange propelled by dynamics of reciprocity as well as power and competition. This complexity was further underscored, even amplified, by Mos's idea of the gift as a total social fact, where everything mixes and all sorts of institutions and aspects of social life come to expression. No less importantly here, the essay also highlights the gift as a dynamic, restless phenomenon, propelled as much by benevolent as darker conflictual compulsions, and pregnant with multiple, unstable, and contradictory implications. Much has happened since Mos, and a wealth of research has greatly enhanced our awareness of the bewildering complexity as well as diversity in forms and modes of operation of gift processes. Increasingly flexible and refined typologies of gifting have emerged, and there have been increasing efforts to better understand and better contextualize the operation of gift dynamics at various levels of social life, ranging from micro to macro in both historical and contemporary settings. We have also gained insights into not only the pleasures and benefits of gift giving, but also its darker sides and dangers. Gifts can easily deviate from their intended purposes, and they seem to carry with them a boundless, chaotic accumulation of risks, contingencies, and liabilities. However, limiting our understanding of giving to its volatile nature as a limiting our understanding of giving to its volatile nature as a fragile, complex, and even dangerous process, potent and pervasive as it may be, cannot suffice. it is important to complement this picture by acknowledging that giving has been and is still valorized, ritualized, and institutionalized in many religions and cultural traditions. Whether in the form of charity, sacrifice, or other gifting practices, gifts have spawned not only fleeting interactions or transient customs, but also ideas, ideals, and institutions that have constituted and still constitute significant features of the public sphere, indeed, in many parts of the world. And yet, it is worth noting here the dearth of comparative research, and even more so, macro-comparative research in the field of gift dynamics. I wish to add that it's not only that field, but it's certainly very, very striking here. Despite a few notable exceptions, there has been limited attempt to explore and compare the gift's macro-cultural and macro-institutional dynamics, that is, the ways in which it has shaped and been shaped by religious orientations, ideologies, institutions, and struggles in the public sphere, all precisely issues where fruitful dialogue with Eisenstadt's macro-comparative civilization program might be expected. Strikingly enough, perhaps the most important contribution to date in all above regards remains Natalie Davis's magnificent historical study of the gift in 16th century France, published already 24 years ago in 2000. In conclusion, because I was asked to speak short as an introduction to Bjorn Whitworth, in conclusion, I would like to highlight one theme in particular that runs like a red thread throughout many of Eisenstadt's writings, namely what he called the strain for transcendence. As it developed into a polysemic idea of flexible analytical scope, bearing striking affinities with the open-endedness and complexity of gift dynamics. Connecting transcendence and gift relations entails paying attention to another facet, another voice of Eisenstadt, influenced by Weber and his ideas on charisma to some extent, but also by his years of study with Martin Buber. These are the two main influences that shaped Eisenstadt's keen concern with what he termed the more, and I quote, the more general principal problem of human creativity, viewed as potentially and pervasive, emergent at all levels of social life. One crucial aspect of this idea of transcendence, as it became increasingly central to Eisenstadt's work, is that it offers a vital, external point of reference and leverage for human beings to reflect upon, evaluate, criticize, and otherwise shape their world. This human capacity to imagine and relate to transcendence also holds a fundamental duality. It can serve as a powerful source and support of social order, but also challenge the stability and givenness of any and all existing social arrangements. Transcendence, in other words, plays a vital role in Eisenstadt's systematic effort to understand human societies, political regimes, and civilizations as entities that are profoundly creative and dynamic, yet also inherently fragile, charged with internal tensions and contradictions, dialectically breeding their own cultural codes, but also counter-orientations, and in a perpetual process of construction and reconstruction. Bursting with concentrating strength in the context of the Axial Age, as first understood by Karl Jaspers, or the Age of Transcendence, as Benjamin Schwartz termed it precisely, the strain for transcendence may lead to openness and innovation, overcoming boundaries and expanding cultural horizons, while at other times they may result in extreme totalitarian, exclusive and excluding and stifling tendencies. I shall end by simply pointing out that the very same terms of analysis could be applied to the generative forces of gift processes, which prove similarly capable of both consolidating, expanding, and even beautifying social relations and social structures, as well as challenge and undermine them. While I cannot or cannot yet offer a full explanation for these convergences and similarities, my sense of it for now is that we need to further explore how gift processes are not only shaped by diverse, changing human conceptions of transcendence, but also themselves operate as a fundamental and pervasive, emergent vector of transcendence. Somehow, it seems to me that Eisenstadt might not have disagreed with this admittedly daring and tentative nebulous formulation. Thank you.